Never let the universe hear you say that. Hey there. The calendula collection continues. That was hard to say. Aren't they pretty? I love them. So we go from this beheaded flowers, dried and beheaded flowers in oil. Somebody asked if I would be showing you how to make calendula salve. Maybe is the answer. Can't use the kitchen inside to record just for a variety of reasons. One day, when I live on my own, I will be able to do things like that. But for now, I need to find a way to have a heat source outside. If I can work that out, I will show you how. So today I'm just kind of wandering around doing some outside jobs. I wanted to take you along because recently I told you that I've been having trouble like shifting gears when the things that I mean to do don't work out. And the universe heard me. On that, my advice would be never let the universe hear you say that. It has been giving me lots and lots and lots of opportunities to work on that and to get better on that. Oh, wow. A couple of things that I've been working on, trying to improve at, trying to overcome. I've had some issues with getting things planted out on time just due to weather and whatever. So one of those things is the tomatoes, and we're about to take a look at them. Some of them I got planted out on time. Did fine with that. They're the ones you helped me with over here. The other ones, see all that cardboard over there? Here's what happened. I got the first group planted out. The second group, I had started the seeds a little bit later, and so they were ready a little later, so I had to wait a little longer. What happened in that time is that we had some big fluctuations in weather. It was real up and down, and we would get big storms with that. When the storms came, they brought lots of rain. Rain helps the grass grow, and my second tomato bed over there became completely overgrown with grass. Permaculture principles to the rescue. One of those principles is use renewable resources and services. How can I use that to solve this problem? Those cardboard boxes used to cover the chicken coop over the winter. That was my insulation from the windy side of the coop that didn't need to get sun to keep it warm. Now I had all these cardboard boxes that needed a place to go, and I had grass that needed covered. So I used my renewable resources and my own service to get that done. Another principle is creatively use and respond to change. The change in this case would be that the weather was up and down, and that it was like we were having hailstorms and high winds, and baby tomatoes would not have been okay out in it. So I would put them under shelter or bring them inside, depending on how cold or wet or windy or whatever. Just kind of adapt with the change, roll with it, keep moving, keep going. The end result is that these tomatoes got in the ground very late. They look horrible. I am giving them nutrients. I'm giving them compost tea. They're getting foliar spray. They've had a couple of doses of worm castings. I'm just like throwing everything at them, trying to get them to survive. If they don't make it, I'll have less tomatoes. I was supposed to plant less tomatoes this year anyhow, and I failed at that. So it's okay. We're just gonna roll with it. We're gonna use those permaculture principles and keep moving forward and see what we can get done. Hi, I'm just jumping in here. So I was editing and I realized there was something I failed to say, something very important. On this tomato issue and on the pepper issue that you're about to hear about, I absolutely, positively, 100% could have potted them up. That would have solved everything. I didn't. You know I'm stubborn. I was being stubborn. I was like, oh, it's just this one rainstorm. It's just this one cold snap. It'll be fine. We'll just move forward. And I didn't pot them up. My fault. Accept feedback. I'm accepting feedback from my plants that I needed to pot them up. That was my fault. It's not entirely the weather's fault. I am also to blame. On the other side, on the good side of tomatoes, let's look at what I have going. I started to tie some up and prune them the other day, and I was like, let me wait for my YouTube friends. So YouTube friends, let's get some of that done. This sun gold is already done. This is my first year growing sun golds. They actually were my first to put on fruit. So we've got a few little tomatoes going already and some flowers. And oh, I have one little sucker to pull. But I do want you to notice that this is single stemmed. And this is about the height where I'll start to let it put on suckers, but I am gonna take the one that's here. Also, you'll notice that it is tied. This is about where I start to tie them to the trellis when they're more than a foot tall. This one's gonna come up and I'm gonna let it go out to the side as it gets taller and go onto the fence over there so that the tomato next to it can have room, if it survives, because it's one from that second group. So green zebra here looks pretty okay on suckers. There's one to deal with, but it does need to be tied. And also it's got a little baby. Hello, little baby tomato. I'm gonna start at the bottom of the plant and see what needs to be done. Now, I do need to put some cardboard around these tomatoes. They also have grass growing in. That's a job for another day. I'm not gonna do that right now. So down from the bottom, I come up and there's nothing that can touch the ground. So that's okay. Now, I do have tiny suckers in these little armpits here, and I'm just gonna pop those out. They're really small. They come out really easily at this size. I'm gonna tie this to the trellis. I'm using butcher's twine, cooking twine, whatever you wanna call it. It did not say, but this should be 100% cotton. And I just go with 100% cotton, or preferably, so that it will biodegrade. This one is a couple of years old maybe, but they do break down over time. I'm not worried about leaving them out here. So I'm gonna find a place where I can take advantage of the crossing of the bars here. And actually I'll go over one. I'm gonna loop it around that, and then I'm just gonna loosely tie it. I don't want it like putting a lot of strain on the plant, but I do want the plant pushing back toward this so that it can start to grow along the trellis and lean on it as it goes up. It will eventually go up and over the fence. So this one is carbon. This is the tomato I was really looking forward to this year. Now, it looks like it's already double stemmed, right? That's because this is a sucker. I will bring you closer so you can see exactly what I'm talking about, but we'll do that in a second. We're gonna start at the bottom. This can touch the ground a little bit right here, just barely, and it's a very low branch, so I'm just gonna take that off. This could be rooted and become a whole nother plant. Hey, so by the way, if you are enjoying this video or getting anything out of it, would you please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already? Both of those things let YouTube know that people like you like videos like mine, and that helps me grow, and I really need that right now. So like and subscribe, please, if you would not mind, and share if you want. And if you have any questions, go ahead and throw those in the comments. Thank you. I have some leaves that don't look awesome. I'm just gonna cut those leaves. So I cut out the bug damaged part, but left some leaf here for the plant to use for sunlight. Here I have a little flower that didn't make it. It dried up and dropped off. This can happen if there's too much sun, too much shade, too much water, not enough water. If it's under 55 at night, if it's over 85 in the day. Basically, if your tomato plant is having a mood about anything, it'll drop its flowers. It's not the worst thing in the world. Obviously, if it continues to happen, it is. But in most cases, it's just a little bit of plant stress, and it'll be okay and it'll self-correct. Now, what else do I see? This leaf could go. Everybody else looks healthy. Let me get you a little closer and we will take a look at why this is happening here. If I follow the main stem, here's the fork. It's kind of hard to see, and it's probably even harder to see on camera, but I can see that this line follows straight up, and this line follows, and this is in the middle. Now, this is a really big sucker. It already has its own flower buds on it, and I will be sacrificing flower buds to get rid of this sucker, but I'm not ready for the plant to split its attention quite yet. I'm gonna take it off right here. Now, if I were wrong, and this were the sucker, and in this case, I'm certain it's not, but if this were the sucker, and I cut this off, it would be okay because it's already producing flower buds. A sucker will produce leaves and flowers just like a main plant will. That's why we can take this off and root it, and it'll make a whole nother plant. Because this one is so developed, I am gonna put it in water and let it make another plant. I will take off the lower branches. And I just want it to collect some sunlight. I don't need it to like go crazy. I want it to focus on making roots at this point. So this can become a whole nother carbon tomato plant once it grows roots in water. All these little hairs on the stem want to be roots. That's what tomatoes do. This is Thorburns terracotta, and it has 2 little tomatoes on it. You never need any of the leaves below the lowest tomatoes. I'm not necessarily going to take all that off right now, but it is okay to sacrifice all that. I've already let this one double stem. This is the sucker. This is the main stem. I'm not going to tie this one quite yet because this side is tied, so I know the wind won't knock the whole plant over. Do you see the tomato tar? So if you mess with tomato plants, they'll leave this greeny yellow stuff on your fingers. Aside from looking really attractive, it can get thick and it can cause irritation. It's a type of eczema, and it makes these little bubblies, and they hurt, and they're gross, and they're nasty, and I've had them since childhood. I used to get them from gymnastics chalk. And I have tried so many different things, and a couple of years ago it got so bad on one finger that I was just trying, I would try a product, it wouldn't work, I'd get the next product, it wouldn't work, and what ended up fixing it was calendula salve, which is why I am so loyal now to calendula salve. In the first couple of days it stopped the pain and the itching when it was on, and then it was just 2 weeks before it really started to clear up, and maybe a month before it was completely clear. So that's why I stay on top of keeping the calendula salve so much. I get it from tomatoes, okra, zucchini plants, just a whole bunch of plants irritate my skin. Calendula salve is the way to go. Here's something I found the other day and I saved for you. I made a video kind of early in the year about mullein and how I use the leaves, and I told you when it got time for flowers I would show you. This stalk just started producing the other day, and these are the flowers. They're really easy to pick. Boop. And then these are for pain relief, and they're really good for earaches. Same deal, these will get dried and they'll go into avocado oil. They'll sit there for 2 months, and then they'll get mixed with an oil that had garlic combined, and then those become eardrops that you can use, or you can put them on something to clean your ears with, and they take care of ear infections and ear pain. There's the little mullein flowers. We're just doing great. The bees love it. I swear, right before I turned the camera on, there were 8 bees on this plant, just all over it. And they must be camera shy. I'll probably plant a couple more. I only have 3 right now, and 2 are in the green stalk. And one of those got bent over by the storm last night. Oh well. I am really excited about how the Fuji apple guild is doing. Look at that. We've got the mulleins around the side. A couple of them didn't make it. One of the mullein plants got undermined by ants. A colony of ants moved in underneath the plant and it died. Was the craziest thing. It also happened to one of my comfreys. So the ants here this year are just wild. But I've got nasturtiums growing between some of the mulleins. The comfreys, these are Bocking 14s. The Bocking 14s are just starting to flower, and there's a Bocking 4 on the other side. Most of my Bocking 4s have already flowered. That's the mullein that we just picked flowers from. And I'm going to have to cardboard again. But you can see the pine berries. You can see the pine berries taking root and growing out of their pot. I do need to repot these pine berries. There's a lot of roly-poly, doodlebug, isopod, armored little cutie pies, whatever you want to call them, in there that are eating all of the pine berries that come out. So I need to repot that, but I need to get more soil first. And look, I'm evil. I put some pineapple mint in the ground and it's spreading. Pineapple mint is not as aggressive as, say, peppermint. It will spread, but not as bad, and the roots are really shallow. And I'll show you that actually in a minute. We have to go over there and talk about peppers. That's another thing where I've had to lean on my permaculture principles. We'll get right there in a second. Now, I do want to show you this garden really quick, and we are right next to the tomatoes where the grass grew in. And this was supposed to be the medicinal bed, and then this was supposed to be an extension of it, and that has not worked out. So what happened over here was last year after the drought, we had really heavy rain, I don't remember. I want to say we had like 7 or 8 inches within a couple of days. And this is clay. So if it soaks, if it doesn't just sheet off the clay, it soaks and it stays. And everything over here wilted and died, with 2 exceptions. The wild bergamot, the Monarda fistulosa that is there and over here, it survived, and this comfrey survived. Everything else in here died. So I've added another comfrey back there, and I tried to put some cabbages in, and they grew really slowly. I put some radishes in, same thing, they grew really slowly. So what I've done is I've put down cover crop. You can see the clover. I've put down things like clover and vetch, and I actually seeded a bunch of wildflower seed and like pollinator attractor seeds in here, and none of that has come up. I am gonna let this stay in cover crop for this year and hope that it puts down some good roots and improves the drainage and improves the soil over here. I'm not gonna try to plant anything important over here. I probably will do some sunflowers to get deep roots going, but that's about it. Otherwise, this is my cardboard drop area along with over there from what I took off of the chicken coop. And I'm just using this area to get the cardboard laid out. I have to remove tape from some of it. I have to remove staples from some of it. I will stage it into, and I have been staging it into other parts of the yard as I go. So that's what's up with that. My last point of shame I'm going to talk about this video is the peppers that I have not planted yet. And I started a whole bunch of them in a little 5x5, which was a great idea as far as saving resources at the front end. I did not keep up with it. But also, here's what happened with the peppers. I found out a couple of years ago that if you plant your peppers out when temperatures can still drop under 50, it can stunt your peppers. At first, I didn't know exactly what that meant, like stunt them how. Well, it slows the overall growth of the plant and it reduces your overall yield. Chili Chump, that's chili with 2 L's, he did a trial on it and said, yes, it's true. And then I was in a garden group and the topic came up and I asked if anybody's done a trial, and there was a woman who put some of her peppers out, her starts out when nights were still under 50, and then she direct sowed some seeds after nights were over 50, and the ones that were direct sowed later outgrew and outproduced the ones that went out when it was cold. So that seems pretty true to me. It seems like that's enough evidence for me. So when nights were under 50, I would bring them back inside, and that would be when we'd have the storms that I had to protect the tomatoes from. So double whammy there. I just didn't get back to it in time. So half my peppers are planted, and we can take a quick look at those, and I will get these done probably this weekend. For permaculture principles, that was observe and interact. I was watching the weather, observing and interacting by protecting the peppers and bringing them back inside if it was going to be too cool for them, and not planting them out when it was too early for them. Observe and interact. So you see, this is my early hot jalapeno. This makes a green or red depending on when you harvest it. My purple jalapeno is almost entirely bug-eaten. The orange spice is doing good. Its new leaves are looking great. There's a lemon spice over there, and we've got some more peppers behind you. So as you can see, they are not looking good. Another permaculture principle is use small and slow solutions. So one thing I did was that I start my peppers a couple of weeks later than I used to, knowing that I'm not going to plant them out until it's over 50. But obviously I still messed up. So the other things that I'm doing are I planted either nasturtium or sweet alyssum at all of their feet. Only the nasturtiums have started to come up so far. They have had extra amendments. They have had extra worm castings. They are also getting foliar spray once a week, but I'll probably step that up. And their soil is getting drenched with compost tea when I do the foliar spray. I just do it both at the same time. So these are little things that will help them recover over time. If they don't recover, it's okay. I plant more than I need on purpose. If I end up with less, keep on plugging away. Another thing is that I've put my onions in here, which are also planted very, very late, like 2 months late. I'm not really expecting to grow onions. I'm expecting to grow things that will distract the insects that try to eat the peppers. That is my plan. These onions are here for scent confusion for insects. I'm really excited about the yarrow. It's doing beautifully. I've already harvested some of this and it's drying, and this is another medicinal that we can talk about another time. This is actually the first medicinal that I ever got interested in. I used to live down in Allen, Texas, and Before big tech companies moved in there, it was like fields and cows, and there were yarrow in so many of the fields, and they were gorgeous. And so I looked up to find out what they were, and I found out that they're good for allergies. So I started making yarrow tinctures last year, and I'm exploring other ways to use this plant this year. So once I learn a little bit more, I'll tell you about it. I told you I would show you. Okay, so here is some of that pineapple mint that I put in the ground because I'm evil that way. And I just want to show you how easy it pulls out. That's it. Hang on. So its roots stay really close to the top, and like seriously, that was it. There's a little piece right here that I missed. That's all. That's how easy it is to pull this stuff out. So if you decide to put this in the ground and it does go wild, because this is about a third of the patch that was here. I pulled the rest of it out last week. It'll be okay. It pulls up easy. It really does. I put mint in the ground. I did. I love it. I would rather have a lawn of this than grass anyways. This video here is the Mullein video that I referenced, and it's going to talk a little bit about what I do with the leaves. So jump in there and catch that one next. And I want to thank you for hanging out with me today. I will see you soon. Later, y'all.